that radio thing? I'm sorry. Then what is the one where they like listen?
There's a bunch of different names.
My daughter's heavily into this shit.
What does she watch?
Heavily, Sam and Colby.
You had them on, right?
Yes.
So
great guys.
So I met these other guys. There's another channel called the Overnight Channel who are equally as popular as Sam and Colby, and they actually used to work together. Then I believe they split off and each do their own thing. But that's who I started going with, so I'm very familiar with those guys.
So these kids, the Sam and Colby guys just went into the Conjuring house.
I was just there, maybe a month and a half ago.
You went into the Conjuring house
by
too?
myself, Joe.
Okay. Do you believe that there's something going on in that house? The Conjuring movies are fucking great.
It's my favorite franchise.
They're fun. And there's so many of them. They really did it right. Like, if you want to be smart, they branched off with The Nun. They branched off with Annabelle.
And I love the way they tie in the story from each one to make it all one chronological story. It's genius.
Yeah.
I will say I wasn't as scared as I've been in a lot of places we've been. There is some kind of solace to the house. But you get to know the history of it, and it does make sense that there would be something here. I mean, it's on some ley lines of water underground. There was wars fought there. There's apparently bodies buried on the property in the walls of the property structures and stuff. There's a lot of history that goes into it that just makes for kind of the perfect storm for some creepy shit. But I didn't witness anything that was that insane. Some items moved. Some cars rolled off of the children's dressers a couple of times on cue. And that's the one thing I do pride ourselves in these videos is so often we get absolutely nothing because we don't fake anything. So you only get to see the highlights. Like, there's so many times we'll go to a place that is so notoriously haunted and we'll be there for 10 hours and get absolutely nothing. And it sucks. But that makes when something does happen that much more valuable. It's so much more impressive.
What do you think? So do you think a ghost is like the soul of a person that's left behind? Or do you think the ghost is almost like space and time because of a horrible incident contain a memory? And like that memory is almost like it like shows up in current time sometimes. There's a guy named Rupert Sheldrake. I forget what his field of study is, but he had this theory about things, and he believes that objects contain memories.
Oh, interesting.
And he's not the only one that has
inanimate objects?
Yeah, that things contain memories. And this is one of the reasons why, like, people kind of universally support this idea that if someone was murdered in a house, you must inform the people that are about to buy it. You have to tell them, hey, somebody got murdered in this house. Like, maybe you don't want to buy this house.
Now,
maybe you should think about it.
Does the potential owner have to ask that information?
It's a good question.
I'd want to know.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think they should have to inform you because there's something about someone being murdered in a spot that freaks us out. And this is my question. How you knew the conjured house was haunted, right? So you go there with this feeling and this expectation. That's what I always wonder about these things. Like how much of this isn't just imagining things. This is like the mind itself seems to have some unmeasured effect on the world.
Yeah.
I think the way you think has an unmeasured effect in terms of like this. There's energy that you put out. There's connections you make with people. They're very, very unmeasured.
And you can manifest your own perception of things for sure.
Yeah. So what my concern is like if you go into a place with a pre-existing knowledge of ghosts, like you think ghosts are here, you think ghosts are real, you have this thought in your mind that you maybe experience a ghost in this place that's haunted. You're at this elevated level of anticipation. You're probably really nervous and kind of freaked out, and your imagination starts firing up. And I'm not even saying that these people are lying or that they're seeing things that aren't there. I'm saying maybe you make things show up. Yeah. Maybe you see memories. Maybe you experience some horrible energy that existed in this spot 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that there's like ways you can tune into that.
I could see that being possible, but to me, that's what's so exciting about it is like you go hoping for those solidified answers. You're going hoping to witness something that you couldn't have possibly made up.
But you know why I think that, too? Is like you never see them in the daytime. Ghosts don't exist on the street.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but not outside.
They're never outside. That's a very good point.
That's my point, is like you're always trapped. So you're always in this like weird space. Like if you had a wolf in your house, you'd be freaked out. You'd want to get outside.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want a wolf in the there's a fucking wolf in the house.
Yeah.
Anytime you're in a contained area, your brain has this heightened sense of like being trapped and awareness and how to escape. I mean, every horror movie's the same. When you got to get to the door, right? Everybody's trying to fumble with the keys and the monster's chasing them and they get it just in time, right? That is a reoccurring theme in the human mind. If you're trapped in a fucking house with a killer or a ghost or a wolf, it's scary.
You know where that makes the most sense? We did the USS Hornet up in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And we had the whole ship to ourselves, which I was so excited about because I love military stuff. I love history. I was so excited to go there and just witness it. And they sent me by myself on basically a game of hide and seek where I had to go find them in the ship somewhere after I had to count to 100 by myself. It was the most terrifying place I've ever been because if you've never been in like the bowel of a ship, it's so unfamiliar. Like doorways don't look the same. You have to step over them and everything. There's so many pipes and everything sticking out. It's such an unfamiliar environment, especially in the dark. It's terrifying. You think I can't possibly run away from something in here. There's too many obstacles. You don't know if that's a wall or a pipe or something peeking around to like look at you. It's fucking terrifying because of exactly that. You feel so trapped.
That totally makes sense. And I would imagine also the feeling of being underwater. That's an extra freak out.
I didn't think about that, but now I have anxiety about it.
I mean, you're literally, if you're deep enough in the ship, you're under the water.
That's a very good point.
And somehow metal floats? What the fuck?
I don't understand it whatsoever. I just don't get it. Because of the shape? What?
Yeah. Oh, that to me is